You're more energetic than the ones at our house.
There, that's at least a little bit better. Just don't mess with it!
To quote a popular TV show of The Office, if I had a gun with 2 bullets and was in a room with Hitler, Bin Laden, and Toby, I would shoot Toby twice. Now, obviously this quote is a little comical because it's pretty hard to compete with Hitler and Bin Laden. However, if I was given the chance to invite 3 people to dinner, I would invite Hitler as one of my guests. The other 2 guests would be Jesus Christ and a Messianic Jew that was killed in the Holocaust. Obviously this is a little unique, so I feel like it would bring up a couple of interesting topics, and I feel like it'd be a little educational. A quick look at creationtheory.org will show you that many Christians and non-Christians alike quarrel over the idea of whether or not Hitler was a Christian. And while there's a lot of people that say he was, there's also people that say the Holocaust never happened. And there's actions of Hitler that say that he was not a Christian, so I'd say there's a lot of disagreement there. So if I could invite 3 people, and those were my 3 people, I would set up a few things and get a few things rolling. The first would be the actual meal and location. Second would be a few questions that I would set up, and obviously that they would probably ask. And the third would be to move into some normal conversation to try to lighten things up towards the end. So the first thing to worry about would be the actual meal and location. I think I would probably have the meal at my house, as walking into a public restaurant with Hitler and 2 bearded dark men would probably be a little disconcerting to some public members of society. So I'd keep it private at my house and try to stay away from as much of the public as possible. Secondly, I would keep things kosher, as 2 of my men were/are Israeli. Yeah. So I would make something like challah or something else found on my helpful site of jew.faq.org. There's a lot of helpful Jewish recipes there for keeping things kosher. So yeah, I would do that. After setting up my initial meal in my living room and dining room for my guests, I would really like to watch the initial reactions as they walked in and sat down and saw each other. I imagine Hitler's face would probably be full of anger, as well as the Jews as they saw each other. And then kind of comparing that with Jesus' love and compassion shown towards both of them. So it would be really interesting to watch them all in unison and comparing them. After I sat them down and had the meal ready and stuff, I would move to questions. Imagine the first thing I would ask, or the Jew would ask if he beat me to it, would be to ask Jesus why he allowed such a horrific thing to happen as the Holocaust. A lot of people blame God for allowing such an awful thing to happen, and frankly I think it's a really good question. Why did God allow the chosen people, his chosen people, to go through such a horrible thing? Second thing I would ask would be to Hitler. Why did he do such a thing? When did it start occurring to him? When did he start planning it? Was it like a childish fantasy of his? Did he ever know a good Jew in his opinion? Through high school, boarding school, high school, I mean anything, growing up, did he ever know somebody that was good that was a Jew, according to him? My last question would be directed towards the Jew, and I would simply ask him if it was possible for him to forgive Hitler. And I feel like that would evoke a lot of thought and emotion. After asking a few of these heavier questions, I think I would move into some normal conversation. Since it's a couple of dudes, I feel like sports would be a great topic to move into. So I would probably bring up soccer, since I'm a huge soccer fan, and it's obviously the best sport out there. Ask about clubs, teams, how they feel about Liverpool, if they keep up with the EPL on EnglishPremierLeague.org. Yeah, how they feel about that. And I imagine the conversation would lighten up a little bit. It'd still be interesting to see how they react to each other. Since there's a lot of anger and bitterness in the room, I assume they probably wouldn't get along and clash, and it'd be kind of interesting to see that carry into another conversation and watch them in there. Due to the uniqueness of my dinner crew, I feel like an evening with Hitler, Jesus, and a man murdered by Hitler would be a very educating evening. I feel like I would learn a lot about love and then a lot about hatred. As previously said, my choice for people at dinner is very unique, and I would be very interested to see the answers to the questions about forgiveness. And as my personal salvation lies on the love and forgiveness of my Savior, I'd be very interested to see whether or not the Jew could possibly look to forgive Hitler, and whether or not it would be possible for Hitler to be forgiven if he sought it out in the correct means. And I must believe that both of those are possible. So, kind of a heavier dinner. Hopefully I could make it into a little bit of a funner one, and maybe an educating environment. Thank you.